Today there are only four students. Hello, Andrew. Can you hear me? Smith. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Dev, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, Devasha, can you hear me? Am I audible? Hello, am I audible? Mr. Dev?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There are only four students today joined. Everybody is busy with the placement. Capgemini.
Yes, sir. Neeraj told.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just go through for some time. One more have joined. So the count is six now. I don't think any more will join now. Okay, let's continue. So we were discussing HRM, that is HR and personal management. I think I'm not presenting. So what is the difference between personal management and HRM? Earlier, these two were same. It is both the activities were handled by HR department only, but now personal management and HRM, these are two different departments. One more has joined. So this link also I have shared on Google Classroom. So if you talk about human resource management, these are the different activities what I am scrolling down, which is done by human resource management. It is scope, various processes, HRM function, staffing role of HRM in leadership development, people empowerment. People empowerment means what? That is some kind of authorities are given to the people. So it's kind of a ownership feeling because without authority nobody can function. As I've been giving you example, like if you don't have any authority to sanction leave or to sign a leave form or to sign advance form, that is if somebody wants some cash and if you are not authorized to sign that form, advance form, every time suppose if you are to run to your manager, then nobody will obey your instructions. Remember, so always you have to ask whenever you have been given any role to perform in an industry, you have to ask that within what authorities I have to function my role, what are my authorities. Then HRM has to honor the talent also. So there are various reward schemes which are developed by HRM which motivates the staff. Then management of contractors. Nowadays there are labor contractors or staffing contractors, like you must be aware that casual laborers or even sometimes the security peoples at many industries are provided by contractors. So there are contractors who has a team of security peoples or guard peoples and who provides these peoples to various industries or to the banks or to institutions. So this is just to reduce the liability for an industry because security बोलो, these are the functions which doesn't need much kind of skills. So even if the person is trained for one day, he can work as a security person. What kind of training is required? That Any visitors who are coming, they have to make their pass. They have to take the permission from the respective department. They have to call the department. This person has joined. Can I allow him? So like that. So this can be trained in 1 or 2 days. So that's why most of the industries they don't go for their own staff. I'm talking about small and medium companies. Like big companies, they will have their own security staff, own security department. But if you talk about small and medium peoples, they don't have to recruit their own staff for the security. Whereas on the shop floor, yes, they will not rely on the casuals. Wherever the key persons, wherever the skilled peoples are required, they cannot rely on the contractors. So there they will have their own team, own persons. They will develop, they will train. Yeah, yes, but wherever like casuals role is for the cleaning, cleaning bolo or sweeping bolo. So there they can very easily recruit the casuals from the contractors. And there are contractors who supply, casual peoples, casual labors for cleaning, sweeping, washroom cleaning, shop floor cleaning. Because again, these are not, the key requirements. These are not the key functionals. And then industry also benefits because if they want to have permanent staff for this cleaning, washing, sweeping, or security, then they have to give them all kind of benefits, perks like insurance, provident fund, all those medicals, leaves, all those they have to give the benefits. Whereas if they ask contractor to give these peoples, then their headache is reduced. They have to pay just some lump sum amount to the contractor and forget it. Then it is contractors lookout. So that is how HR department manages the contractors. As I said, performance management, appraisal, rewards. Then what are the hiring strategies for the HRM? Then many times background checks are done by most of the HR peoples. Like here also, in our college also, institutions also, we receive many times inquiries for the background check from the organizations. Many times because organizations they have your CV, and in your CV you have mentioned that you have passed out from this college and this year. So many times this organization they call us, they call register, they call examination department that whether this student has passed out from this college, this university, because there are many fake profiles or fake uh, CVs in which they mention that I have passed out from this college, this university, with so much of percentage, etc. So background check is very much essential. Not only locally, not in India, but even abroad also. From abroad also, we receive the inquiries about the students' background check. Sometimes the students mention the name of the professors. They give the references. So I also receive so many emails from the organization. If this student is intending to join this organization, so how is his background, sincerity, loyalty, intelligence, like that. I am not talking about LOR recommendation. I am talking about the students when they join the organization and whenever they give the references. So at least in abroad, these references are checked religiously. Even in India, also many times, at least 50%, 60% organization, they check, they call up the previous employer. So that is what is nothing but the background check is. Retention strategies. Retention strategies means it is actually the most important function of HR, that the people should not leave there. People should not. People should retain. There should not be a turnover of the peoples. That is, peoples are joined today and they are leaving tomorrow. That should not happen, because that involves a lot of cost. So that is what is called as the retention. So managing employee relations, employee rewards and recognition, variable pay, that is incentives. Variable pay is nothing but the incentive, that is depending upon the performance, productivity, additional payment is done. That is what is called as the variable pay. Diversity in organization, that is if the person is doing same thing, same work, then he gets bored. He feels that there is no growth in the career. So that's why there has to be a diversity in the working for a particular staff. And health safety, most of the things we have discussed, safety programs is again a function of the HR. OSHA safety, that is occupational safety and health. Then of course there are many challenges and there are many barriers in HR policies implementation. So HR department has to successfully overcome those challenges and barriers. Human resource audit, that is HR department has to conduct the audit, regular audit, in terms of safety, in terms of training, in terms of performance. So whichever you want to study, you can just click it on and go through. It's huge. Important from the examination point of view is mostly what are the functions of HR department. So coming to the difference between personal management and human resource management. So personal management is more administrative in nature, and their main job is to ensure the needs of the workforce. What are the requirements? What are the needs of the staff? That's why the name personal management. That is, we have person to person relations, and we are, that is personal management. They are handling. They are more concerned about the personal relations or personal issues of their employee. So they are the personal managers. They are actually the mentors for the staff. Whereas HR management, they don't deal, in person to person. They don't involve in the problems of each and every staff. So that's why this 20-25 years the scene was personal manager bolo, yeah, even the proprietor, how big the company is, irrespective of its size, even though the company is big, the personal manager used to remember the name of each person, even if there are 500 people, he used to remember the name of each and every person because he was in touch with everyone. It's not a joke to remember 500 people. Not only names of each person, but he was also concerned. He used to remember their families also, what they are doing, Then he also used to remember what is his weak points, what is his strong points, and so many other things. So that is what is your personal management is. So he was involved totally in employee personal management. That is, it is totally involved in employee welfare. Whereas human resource management deals with more other activities. And then slowly, there was a shift, and personal management was offered as one of the function of HRM. See, there was a see earlier what was the scene? The 30 years before, the union was strong, the workers were strong. If the union leader, if he says that I can close the operation in 1 hour, mm, then really he used to do like that. And that's why this personal manager he had very close relations with the union leader and the employees. And slowly, after globalization and technology transfer, this union leaders, the role of union leaders started reducing, and then management started becoming powerful mainly because of the technology transfer and globalization, because the dependency on the people was reduced more and more because of more and more automation. So the workers also came to know that if he doesn't perform, then he will have to leave the job. Not only if he doesn't perform his existing job, but because of multi-skilling. Because of multi-skilling, the people started scaring also. Like earlier, even if he does the drilling or testing of engine for all the life, he was sure that he will not be touched. But slowly, he also came to know that he has to do some other activities also. Otherwise, he'll be asked to leave. Then the worker started learning milling, turning, computers, etc., etc. So that is what is called the paradigm shift. And as the role of union started reducing, personal management, there was nothing much to do, and that personal management was shifted to human resource management. So that is the most important difference between personal management and human resource management. So these are all different functions of the HR. So now we can say the personal management is a subset of HR. So as an engineer, you can also choose HR as a career. So what are the different career options in human roles, in human resources? So there is a MBA, which is MBA in HR, that is Human Resource Management MBA program. It's a full time 1 year, or sometimes it is 2 years also. Of course, for any MBA program, the requirement or the eligibility is graduation, And the trend is many graduate engineers they are also doing MBA in HR. And these are the various fields like there is a growth and these are the different areas like you can grow to chief HR officers, human resource manager or directors in most of the companies, MNCs or other companies there are positions of human resource manager or director. Even there is a president HR, vice president HR. If the company has footprints internationally, then they have international human resources manager, TD manager, that is training and development manager. You can work as HR consultant, as a recruiter, and specialize in recruiter, labor relations manager. That is, labor relations manager is more or less towards personal management. HR analytics specialist. Here, as an engineer, you can use various analysis techniques or various statistical techniques for analysis, that is human resources analysis. People are doing PhDs in human resource and personal management, many people. So they are mapping, what are the factors, different factors which affects the performance of HR department or which affects the performance of productivity, that is productivity and human behavior or human qualities. So in that, in human qualities or human behavior, they have studied, different factors like what matters for the productivity, whether it is education, whether it is communication, whether it is training, so many factors, almost 30, 35 factors. So people are studying for their PhDs. Then employment manager, if these are if it is a big company, the role of employment manager is only recruitment. Then compensation and benefits manager. This is a reward scheme. So these are the 10 best careers for human resources professional. Chief HR officers. This is like at your CM level, Chief Human Resources Officers. So of course you need to have some eligibility criteria, some amount of at least 5 to 10 years of experience to rise to this position. Then second position is human resources manager or director. So whether it is human resource manager or director, human resource director, the work for both the position is same. This is international human resources manager. Like if you are recruiting or if you are looking for the human resources at international level, then how to do that? Fourth career is training and development manager. Like most of the engineers, they prefer this training and development manager. Like what are the different training programs you can arrange for your staff and how you can develop them. So it can be technical training or it can be commercial training because the training needs for the shop floor and training needs for the purchase people, for the planning people would be different. HR consultants. Even I have seen IITians, they have opted HR as a career and they are successfully working as a HR consultant. And then they have a understanding that how much remuneration this consultant will charge, whether it is on the retainership basis or whether it is on per person basis. But it's a good rewarding career. Many times these HR consultants they take one salary. Sometimes some consultants take one salary from both, that is from the employee as well as from the organization. So big consultant like suppose they have given a person to the organization whose salary is say 1 lakh. So even if they have given 5% to the organization in a month, they can earn 5 lakhs. Some people's they are specialized only in executive recruitment, that is middle level management and top level management. Like I said that 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh, 2 lakhs. This this comes under middle level or top level management. Labor relations manager, that is how to handle the labor peacefully so that productivity can be improved. HR analytics specialist. So this is the most technical job in HR department. That is whatever statistical techniques you use, you have learned how to apply in HR department. Employment manager or establishment manager. Bigger companies they have this portfolio also employment management, and then compensation and benefits management. It is again a technical area, that is what are the different compensatory and benefit scheme like compensatory or reward schemes, incentives, bonus, even medical facilities, paid holidays. Some they have paid vacations. Like here, security disability insurance. That is, if something goes wrong, some accident, and if the person loses hands or legs, then it's a liability of the company to take care of his entire life, and not only him but of his family also. Then overtime is also one of the benefit. Sometimes the salary is less, but with overtime the people earn enough. Now it differs whether the overtime is to be paid single, double or 1.5 times. All the big companies they give double, most of the small companies they give single, but still it is an additional income. Right? Even if it is a single means like suppose if the person is paid 1,000 rupees for 8 hours, then if he is working 4 hours additionally, then 1000 plus 500, that is 1500 he will get. So even if it is a single and if he is assured that you will every day you will get 4 hours extra, then he is also happy because instead of just going here and there, hmm, moving around after 8 hours, if he does 4 hours of work, he's going to get additionally 500 rupees, so 15,000 around per month. So it's not a bad amount. So overtime also comes as a benefit. Many small scale companies they have this policy, that is, instead of running it in two shifts, instead of increasing their staff, they use their existing staff. Okay, so let me see if there are any other links. So the purpose of showing this link is that you remember, yes, that something like this has been studied. I think these links also I have covered up. There are some EDM now. It is not electro discharge machining. This is EDM is entrepreneurship development management. Otherwise, you may think that EDM is electro discharge machining. Coming to the syllabus now, I don't know why it is taking so long time. Yeah, here it is. So value analysis, ergonomics, human resource management. I have taken through the links. And now let us study how to prepare from examination point of view. So either you can study through the links or even you can refer OP Khanna also. Like most of the things has been covered through the links, but still I will, you know, surf or flip through OP Khanna. I think I have uploaded this epic OP Khanna book on the classroom. If I have not, please uh, remind me. So this covers your most of the syllabus from examination point of view. Like you don't have to study all the chapters. There are 39 chapters: industrial engineering and human resource management. But all the chapters you need not study. The title of the book is Industrial Engineering and Management by O.P. Khanna. So even you have plant maintenance, replacement analysis, inventory control. Mostly this is production management. Then you have this personal management, union and industrial relations, industrial legislation. So let's start with this industrial psychology. And this language is also not that difficult, and you can understand it. Is theory X and theory Y? That was the popular question, university question, when the subject was only HRM. See, it is a mix of actually two subjects, industrial engineering and HRM. Earlier there were two subjects separately. It is industrial engineering one subject and HRM one. So in HRM, when the subject was HRM that time, this theory X and theory Y was very repetitive question. That is almost every exam it was being asked. So industrial psychology it is basically the study of the peoples at work as an individual or in a group, and also of the study of the relationship between individuals and groups. So it is the study of the human behavior in different aspects of industry and business. So what are the aims and objectives of industrial psychology? It is to improve the situation on the job, to make the work more enthusiastic, to restore the mental health, to make the working area safe, and to improve the efficiency, to increase the productivity. So this is what is nothing but aims and objectives of industrial psychology. What is its scopes? The scope includes culture, pattern of working groups, human problems. So again in human problems we have employee selection, placement, training, development. Then industrial psychology में we are studying individual and group. So this is very important. It is always easier to handle individual, but it is difficult to handle the group. Even British policy wants to break the groups and then to win. So they never allowed peoples to form the groups, peoples to unite, because unity is strength. So wherever possible, they always broke the groups. And groups are classified under two categories, that is primary group and secondary group. So in primary groups, the individuals are in face-to-face relationship. Whereas in secondary group, the relationship they are of contractual nature. There is no direct contact. In primary group, there is a direct contact. Every individual, there are differences in the behavior. Some are sincere, some are aggressive, some are very timid. So once you know the personality, it becomes very difficult. Or once you know the personality, it becomes easy also to handle that particular person or to handle that particular group. A group of aggressive peoples, group of sincere peoples. So individuals they will differ. Like I told, some individuals they are aggressive, some are very timid. And so individuals will always differ in terms of their appearance, abilities, education, aptitude, etc. And therefore their payment also differs. Education, skills. This is a normal distribution graph of skills against the people, number of people, that is frequency. Like if you take 100 peoples, out of which 50 peoples they have an average ability, 25 peoples they are good, and 25 people they are poor. Poor in the sense skills. So you have to target on this so that they come into this. So how do the individuals differ from each other in terms of physical characteristics? Physical characteristics means in terms of height, weight, strength. Then in terms of intellectual factors, some are intelligent, very intelligent, some are average. Then interest and motivation. Some people are motivated, some needs to be motivated, some they are just working for the sake of something. They don't work with their heart, they don't have interest. Even some students they do a particular course because they were told to do that course. They are not doing with their or as of their own interest. Then temperament, aptitude, age, male, female. Because for the female there are limitations. Because of their physique. On an average, I am telling nowadays, so ladies or female they are in every field, but on an average they have limitations. Average. Then what are the characteristics of the group behavior? So some groups are very cohesive, that is highly cohesive. So it becomes very difficult to break them. So the techniques to handle them will be different. Some groups can be broken off very easily. So techniques to handle them will be different. So there are two theories, that is theory X and Y. The theory X was proposed by Douglas. So it's essentially a negative approach to human relations. So in which supervisor presumes that average person does not like to work and will avoid it if he can. And for this reason, most persons must be coerced or controlled or directed because they don't like to work. This is what is called the negative approach. Then there is the theory Y. So it's a positive approach. So you may be knowing that optimistic, pessimistic. So pessimistic is totally negative, optimistic is totally positive. That is, if you are going out of home and if you want to reach college, then positive approach is that moment you come out of home, you will get bus or rickshaw. Then you go to the railway station, immediately you will get a fast train. Then you get on at Bandra station, again you will get a bus or rickshaw immediately, and then you will reach in 30 minutes. This is a positive approach. Negative approach means you will not get bus, you will not get rickshaw, then train also, you will have to wait, then train also going dugu dugu. That is your negative approach. So theory Y is based on positive approach. So it's essentially a positive approach to human relations in which the supervisor integrates the needs of his subordinates with the needs of his department, and he presumes that assumptions made in the theory X do not portray the correct human. He always thinks that you should not go negatively. That is what his theory Y is. So they promote good human relations and atmosphere. And these are the assumptions which is given by McGraw. That is, expenditure of physical and mental effort in work is as natural as in play or rest. External control and threat of punishments are not the only means. मतलब punishment is not the only way to improve the productivity. Average man will learn under proper condition. So this is what is theory Y, which is a positive approach. And in most of the house also we see that बच्चे लोग को पढ़ाना है, so they will make the mistakes. To are is human and they are child. तो इसका मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि उनको मारने का, वो नेगेटिव हो गया. Positive approach means they have to be told properly. That is theory Y. Theory X मतलब दबा दब मारने का. But that is wrong. So you have to always see that how you improve the moral of the peoples and how you improvement or how you motivate the peoples. So from the examination point of view, that theory X and theory Y, these two are important in this industrial psychology. So motivation we will see later, because sometimes that motivation also is asked. But in industrial psychology, that is from chapter number 9, the important was theory X and theory Y. And I think I have uploaded this uh, OP Khanna book on the classroom. So in case if I have not, please remind me. I will also check. So all this fatigue etc. comes under industrial psychology, which we will take next time. That is motivation, fatigue etc. Okay, thank you. If you want to ask anything, please ask.